On today's episode, we are going to be building a built-in banquette area here in my breakfast nook. We've been living here for a while, and I just think it would be really nice to have a place to eat right here off the kitchen. And I just envision a built-in area because we have this beautiful window that overlooks the golf course and the pond and all of that. And I just envision my kids cozying up in the corner with a book and enjoying that view, maybe myself as well. And so we're gonna get started here, but before we do, I want to thank this episode's sponsor, Sundays for Dogs, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them and how they have benefited our little DIY dolly here in just a second. But let's get started with the project. First, I'm going to share with you the design plan. Okay, so we have this great space here. It's kind of tucked away, and I think it's a perfect opportunity for a bench. And this is what my plan is. As you can see, we're going to build it in two sections. So we're going to start over here on this back wall and have that go all the way across. We're gonna go up to this edge of this trim right over here. Let's see. It's not translating the way I'm pointing on camera. Okay, right there. Anyways, we're gonna have it line up the edge of the bench there. We're not gonna take it all the way to the end here. And then we're gonna build another bench starting at the front and going all the way over here. Also, but down the road, I'm thinking that we can add an additional shelf, which is right here on top of it, for some more dishes, who knows, maybe a little bit of decor, cookbooks, things like that. So I thought that would be a good opportunity to create a little additional storage, but also a little bit of interest. And so right here you can see kind of the front of the banquette. What I have planned is to do kind of some picture box molding type stuff, inset though on this. And then we'll have a lid that lifts up so that we can use underneath as storage and also access the electrical there. And maybe we'll figure out a way to bring up the electrical. I'm not sure. We'll just see how it goes. Maybe that's down the road a little bit. And then I have a whole makeover planned for this area. So it will be needing a chairs and a dining table and maybe like a bench cushion and some other pillows to kind of make it a cozy place to sit. And that's what we've got going. So the first thing we're going to do is mark a level line of where we want the top of the bench to be, or the top of the 2x4s, I should say, because we'll have a piece of plywood that will sit on top of the 2x4s, but we need like a solid foundation for our bench. And we're gonna start by using what I have. And my goal is to not go to the home improvement store until I absolutely have to. And I think I will have to, but I'm going to try to use everything I possibly can first before we do that. So let's get marking. We're gonna get really comfortable here. Okay, so we want our bench height to be 18 inches, which is right there. But the top of our bench is going to be a 3/4 inch plywood. So we need to deduct that from what we're gonna be doing because we are trying to build something for it to set on. Hey, Dolly. How are you, sweetheart? You coming to supervise? Hi. You want to go for a walk, huh? Do you want to go for a walk? Hold that thought. Dolly loves the squirrel. She wants to play. Or not. You want the squirrel? You want the squirrel? I don't think it wants to play. Come on, let's go. Okay, so this is what we do about 3 to 4 times a day. Dolly gets a good walk, and she loves to explore our new neighborhood. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so we're gonna mark 17 1/4 on the wall, and that's right there. And then you can use a laser level to help mark it all the way across. If you don't have a laser level, then just get a long ruler like this and put a level on it, and then you can just use that to mark it all the way down. So then you just mark it, and you want to mark it all the way around. So should we try the laser level? They have super fancy ones. This one is not a super fancy one, but still hopefully will work. Okay, you can see where I previously marked is totally level. That makes me nervous. That'll work. I prefer the old school way, I think. So we are gonna just do it old school because And just like that. There we go. So I think it is so easy to overthink things and just get in our own way. And I'm kind of feeling like that with this project. So I think we just need to get right in and start cutting some wood and just get the process rolling along. And I think that that will really give me and all of us the nudge we need just to start. Just start. Cut some wood, get going, and you'll get in the swing of things. So that's what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna start by doing the back ledge of our banquette, and we are not doing like a full frame on the back side because it will give us some more storage space on the ground if we're not like framing the entire thing out. If we can get that back ledge into some studs and into some solid areas, we should be just fine with that and not having any support frames underneath it. We are gonna do like supports on the sides and the front for the other ones. So these might be coming in my line here really soon. Bulletproof protective glass. Pretty cool, huh? Protect your eyes, protect yourself to the level that you are comfortable with, and we are gonna just start working with lumber that I already have. So I have a mixture of some 2x3s, which is what I'm gonna start with. I also have some 2x4s. My goal is to buy as little lumber as possible to use what I've got, and that will save me some money because this is, you know, just sitting here taking up space. So mixing 2x3s and 2x4s, it's all just kind of like the carcass of it. None of it's really the aesthetics, but I do have some wood that I'm going to use on the front for aesthetic reasons. Let's just get cutting. So our first cut is going to be 42 inches because we're going to actually split it because it runs right into an electric outlet. So we've got to avoid that. I don't want to remove any of the electrical. So we are going to cut this. See, using a miter saw, it's not that scary. It's just cut, cut, cut. Well, maybe not that simple, but it is. It really is simple. You just gotta do it. The next cut on the list is 7 1/4. We're gonna do a whole bunch of cuts and then we'll take it in and see if any adjustments need to be made, but hopefully we do a good job. My next smallest cut is 38 1/4, so we can get that out of this for sure. 38 1/4, right there. Our next one is that 54 1/4 cut, so. Our last one on that back plate is 18 1/2. Before we get too far in this episode, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today's sponsor, which is Sundays for Dogs. This is the dog food that Dolly has been eating for the past few months now, and I have to tell you all about it because it has helped her in so many different ways. She had been getting like sick on her kibble that she had been eating, and I just had been feeding her the dog food that her breeder started her on as a puppy. And you know, I just noticed that she was always like itchy, and we've kind of grown fond of this little cutie, and we want her to be around as long as possible. And so feeding her like a healthy dog food has just been really, really important to me. So I've tried her on a couple of different ones, and I have noticed so many positive benefits since switching her to Sundays for Dogs. First of all, I love the convenience of it because it is shelf stable because they've air dried the food, and so that just makes it more convenient. You don't have to like do all this extra prep, unfreezing it. If she's hungry, I can feed her right then and I don't have to worry about that. But if you look at the ingredients on the label, it's all human grade food, things that you can recognize: beef, liver, bone broth, quinoa, pumpkin, sunflower oil, zucchini, kale, flaxseed, sea salt, turmeric, like all of these things I know and have in my pantry: blueberries, carrots, apples, tomatoes, mushrooms, broccoli, oranges, cranberries, and this is Dolly's favorite. She likes the beef, but they do have several different other flavors. And what I have noticed is that she has gotten way less itchy since switching her to Sundays for Dogs. Poodles are kind of known for being like really itchy all the time, so she's really done that. Another benefit that I've noticed is she looks healthier and she doesn't have like the weepy eyes sometimes that she used to get now that she's eating healthier food. I taste tested it with her between the kibble and this. She has always picked this over that, and so it just makes me feel good that I'm giving her a human grade, good quality food that has made her more playful. I mean, she's already playful. She's got a lot of personality. Now, I know it might seem a little expensive, especially when you compare it to kibble, but when you consider all that goes into it and the quality of ingredients and how good your dog is going to feel, it's totally worth the investment in our little fur member of our families. And to make it a little easier, Sundays for Dogs has given us a coupon code for 50% off your first order, so you can see if it's a good fit for you and your little fur baby. We sure love this cutie. We want to keep her around for a long, long time. Huh? Hi, sweetie. Yes, she's just the best. We love our little fur friends, don't we? Let's get started here. We are gonna hang the first cleat, I guess you could call it, right back here. I've marked it. We're gonna get our level ready, but I'm going to tack it in. And this only has 2-inch nails in it. This is meant to just tack it in place while I actually get screws in place and while I level it out. So I'm just gonna put one in here, and that will kind of hold it on one end, and then we'll make sure it's level. And then we're gonna tack it into a couple different spots. We're gonna do that all the way around. Then I'm gonna get my stud finder, and then we are going to put some long screws into the studs so they are nice and secure. So you can see that I'm kind of building it around these outlets. I'm leaving these here, and then the bench will go right on top. Maybe we'll even drill some holes, so if we want to put an extension cord through it or something, I'll figure that out later. Right now we're just gonna build around it. So there we go. All of my cuts were perfect. First try. I love it when that happens. So now we're gonna find the studs and screw some long screws right into those studs to make this nice and secure. We're so blessed to have you. Now we're ready to drill some screws into the studs so that this is nice and secure. Normally I would recommend using a bit to pre-drill the hole, but I want to test out how powerful my drill is. This is the Athena drill, and it's my drill. It's made for women, designed by me. It's got glitter in it and a cheetah print handle, but most importantly, it's powerful. I want to test out just how powerful and not pre-drill and see if we can get this into the stud. So let's give this a whirl. We're gonna start it slow, get it into the wood. Boom! That is awesome. And it's in there sturdy, so that is so awesome. You can always pre-drill if you want to, but this didn't need it. So here's the next one. We're gonna just start it out nice and slow, kind of holding it in place. That's on there good. Woo! Good girl. I normally use a big heavy-duty framing nailer to do stuff like this, but the reason I'm not is because I do want to remodel my kitchen someday, and so I don't know if we'll need to change the flooring for that, and if so, I want this to be able to maybe slide out and not totally damage it. So I didn't want to do something that was super permanent. We'll see. Okay, with this cleat in place, I'm gonna go ahead and cut all the wood for the face framing area, so the front area and all the support that we're gonna do. So I'm gonna build one piece here that's framed out good, a piece here, and then we'll build up 2 side pieces here and 1 face one here. And we might do a center connecting one in some of these for extra added support. I'm gonna do the same thing as before with that, and we're gonna tack in everything with the nail gun first, and then we'll screw it in so it's nice and secure.
No urge of acting strong. Wilderness, we give you our best.
Okay, so tacking that in with the nails to hold it in place was super nice, but the real star of the show really was my drill. It made it like as if I was drilling through butter. It was so powerful, so awesome. I'm just thrilled, and I hope that all of you who've already ordered them are having as much fun as I am. It's so good.
We're so blessed to have you. Close your eyes.
All right, this is what I got done today. I'm gonna call it a night, but I'm really happy with how it's all looking so far. It's awesome. And how about the drill? It works so good.
On my chest.
Okay, so it's the next morning. Dolly's gonna join us. She's such a good little helper. Anyways, it's the next morning, and I am overall very happy with how things are going. Next up, we're gonna secure everything. Right now it's just all sitting here, but we need to make sure it's nice and secure. So we're gonna start screwing it together so that it's like a solid piece. But I did make one boo-boo, maybe over in this area, that we're not gonna sweat too much about because I've got some workaround we're gonna do. So let's get started by securing everything. We're gonna work from the outside and that way, and then we're probably gonna do a couple of support braces in the middle of these areas just to support weight when people are sitting on it. So let's get started.
Hold my hand. Don't let go. I understand. It hurts, it wasn't fair.
So we make sure that this is the same distance on that side. We need to make sure that we mark where 20 inches is so that we can make sure everything is the same. So you can see we're about a ½ inch too far. So use our handy foot method, or hand. And the other thing we need to make sure is that we end up level, because that's also important. Oh. So that's about where it needs to be, and we're going to make sure it stays there by using clamps. Okay, we've got this all sturdied up. It's super solid, but I want to put in some support brackets. One right here, because I may do a shelf above here at some point, not today. And then maybe one here, and then another one right over here in this corner, because I feel like there's gonna be a lot of corner sitting action, and so some extra support right there would be good. So we'll probably attach them with pocket holes, and then we will have some added support. Okay, so they will need to be 16 inches.
The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade to gray, we're gonna be okay. The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade.
Okay, so for the top of my Banquette, I am considering a couple things. First is MDF. It paints up nicely. It's really, really heavy. So the other thing that I'm considering is something like a sanded plywood. And so I am kind of leaning in this direction. and I'm gonna actually have them cut it down for me so it will fit in my vehicle for one and give me a little less work. I'll still have to make some adjustments at home on my table saw, but I like it being in more manageable sizes for me, so I'm gonna get their help with that. Okay, so we need something to be a decorative treatment on the inside of our little, I guess, batten board treatment on the Banquette. And so I was thinking this, and this is finger joint cove molding. And I think that that is gonna be a decorative element on there. Or we could go with something a little bit more decorative, like this colonial hardwood trim. It's a little bit beefier, I'm not sure. I also really like this one. I've used this on other projects before. This might be a good option as well. And I like that price, that's a really good price. Okay, they are cutting down the wood for me while I go and look for some hinges that I need. So here we go. Okay, here's what we got for our project. I think we're completely set to go. Okay, this is nice and sturdy and it's ugly. So now we get to start the fun stuff, which is putting on all of the decorative trim. And this is where it's really gonna start to take life. So we're gonna go out and cut down some masonite that I already had in my stash. And so I'm not spending any additional money. I had to buy something for another project and I had a lot left over. So I'm repurposing on this and I might have to piece it together a little bit to make it happen, but we're gonna make it work without buying more masonite. So let's go cut and then we're gonna start installing. All right, how good is this looking? Now I know that there's a gap here and over here, but those are all gonna be covered with trim, which we are gonna start right now. So we're gonna start right over here in this corner right here. Now I wanted to miter this edge so it's nice, neat, and clean. So I took it out on my table saw and just ran it on a 45-degree angle. And so we're gonna be able to put this here and these corners will match up. Now, if you don't have a table saw, the way you would do this is just take a wider piece of trim, which is like at 2.5 inches, I believe, and then get one that is 3/4 of an inch smaller. So you kind of just, like the best way I can show you how to do this is maybe that you have a shorter piece like that, and then you bring this out and then you have like a butt joint, but this one would be like a smaller piece of trim that you would need to get so that it looked the same on either side. So we've mitered our edges, and so that's how we're gonna do that. And we are gonna start right now. And I'm going to try and have it matched up to begin with. And then we'll just kind of go back and forth all the way down. Okay, so with this corner done, we're gonna move on to the top and bottom pieces, and I didn't do it on that one just because it was going to be tricky, and it's going to be fine, but I am going to do top and bottom on the rest, and then we'll go in and do like the slats this way after we've got those top and bottom pieces on. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take care of like the hardest piece. Because I didn't cut the trim out, I wanted to leave it just because I didn't know like if we ever took it out, if it would, you know, things would get weird. I just am going to do it this way. So the first thing we need to do is take the width of our trim that's on the floor. I'm gonna mark that. And so we know that we need to make this design there and up. So this is going to be the right hand side, so we need to get the profile of the trim. So I'm going to line it all up nice, and hopefully I don't screw this up. And I think a lot of times you'll use a hacksaw. I'm going to attempt to use a jigsaw. So we've got the profile that we need to cut out, and I'm going to just clamp this to my table saw, and we are just gonna get this on there nice and snug. And then I've got a jigsaw, and we're gonna just try to jigsaw this out. Okay, that looks a little hack job-ish to me, but it looks okay. So we'll go test that out and see if that'll work. If not, then we might have to come out and, like, you know, just take a little bit more off. We don't need to worry about this too much because when we put it on, we'll caulk everything and that will hide a lot of this ugliness. So we'll go see if this works. Okay. It's not exactly perfect, but by the time we caulk and everything, no one will ever know. So we're gonna nail it in. There we go. Now we'll do the other side. All right, so the little trick that I'm gonna do here to get these right is I'm going to slide this all the way in just so that we can get the spacing correct. We're going to nail it. Now we're gonna try to slide this out. Now we've got the right distance here, and we're gonna meet this up. All right, so that's evenly spaced. Now, we've gotta try to evenly space this. Yep, that works. So. Okay, we are doing really, really good. We've got all of our basic trim on now. Now we're gonna do a decorative trim, and I am going to just use miter shears, which means we don't need to use a saw. We can just clip this because it's very lightweight. And then I'm actually not gonna nail it into place because I used the masonite, which is thinner. And so me putting a nail in, a lot of the spots won't work. So I'm gonna use wood glue and just tape it into place, let it dry. It will be just fine, especially once we add caulking and all of that. So that's the plan. So we're just gonna miter these out using miter shears, and you can totally do this yourself as well. Literally have one piece left to cut, but I am super dirty, and more importantly, I am so exhausted, and I'm at the point where I don't care. So that is the time when you stop, because I do not want to mess up all of the good progress we made today. I feel so satisfied about how good this is looking, but there's a time to stop, and that time is now. So that's what we're doing. Good night, all. So my husband threw in Sundays for Dogs with her old kibble, and with surgical-like precision, she kind of made a mess with the kibble, but she extracted as much of the Sundays for Dog food as she could and left all the kibble and made a mess with the kibble. Anyways, so she definitely loves it. Okay, so before we install this last piece, I do feel like I need to do one more brace right here to kind of support the edge of this lid that will lift up and down. There's nothing right there to brace that edge. It would probably be fine, but I just would feel better with it more secured. Okay, so we've got all of our pieces cut. Fits really nice. We added this support brace, which I think will be good in the long run. And now I'm gonna add the piano hinges. Now I am planning on painting the piano hinges just because I want them to disappear. I don't want them to be noticeable. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach them before we paint, and then we've got to do some of the final details. The thing that will really make it look polished and finished and not a DIY, and that is puttying all of the nail holes, caulking all of the seams, and just all of that final detail work that really polishes it off. We also need to do some edge banding on the lids so you don't see the layers of the plywood, and that will finish that off as well. So we are gonna get doing that right now. Okay, another learning opportunity here. So this piece right here, when I put the hinges on, when I went to open it, it was scraping as I lifted it. And then I realized also we've got this ledge here. So what I think I'm gonna do is cut this down and see how we've got this strip right here and over here. We're gonna put that on the side so that it won't scrape the wall, and also it will be able to lift up past this trim. So does that make sense? So we're gonna basically put a little piece of trim here to allow this to lift. Okay, as I was just so easily drilling in all of these screws, well, basically this whole episode, but I was really noticing it on the piano hinges because I had to do a lot of them one after another. I'm like, I just wonder. This is what the power tool industry has thought of you. This is what they've given for you ladies. Not only is the handle bigger, it's not very ergonomic in design. It's just like basically, I can't even. But I want you to hear the difference. This is mine. This is theirs. Like, are you serious? So I'm just curious if we can get the job done. Well, I know it's not gonna be as easy, but I just wanted to do a little side-by-side comparison. So let's do this. Here we go. Could we get the screw in? Maybe, but we'll just see how it goes. Okay, ready? I haven't pre-drilled anything on any of these. It like isn't in all the way, and it keeps spinning out. We'll just finish this off with this one. Okay, easy peasy. This is what I think of you. This is how I want to make your life. Boom. No spinning out with mine. So much more power. It gets the job done faster and easier. It's not even a competition. Let's finish this out. I don't know, that just cracks me up. Get the power you deserve. Order it today. I love it. I made it for you. Well, I made it for all ladies, so I made it for myself, including. Get it? You won't be sorry. Show the power tool industry that form and function matter. Cheap pink mandrels, we don't want them. We want the real stuff. Well, we did it. We accomplished the goal. Now, I had really wanted to do some soft close hinges, and I don't know if I just installed them wrong or if I got the wrong hinges. You'll have to let me know if you know what happened. If you can see what I did and know what happened. But it does hold it up. They snap right down. If you have little kids around, I don't know if I would use the hinges that I use. This is for long-term food storage, which is what I put in there, and I have tons of storage space within this bench. So not only is it going to be functional in the way of being seats in the dining room, it's beautiful, and it's functional in the way of giving me additional storage, which is never a bad thing, right? And so I am just so thrilled. Now, I looked it up, and on average for something similar to what we built today, you would be looking at anywhere between $1,000 and $6,000. I found that the average was about $2,500 for what we built. And let me tell you, I used a lot of what I already had on hand, but I priced it out to see what it would cost anybody in the US right now to pay for all of the materials. Assuming that you have some power tools, you will need some power tools in order to get this project done, especially the Athena drill. It really made life easy, I'll just say. But I priced it out. It was about $200 to $250, depending on, you know, what you're able to get and where. So if you go off of the average, that's like 10% of the cost or less. And you saved all that money and got all this additional storage and just the function of having a really cool banquette in a Banquette nook. In my mind, I really still want to do a round table here. My husband is really lobbying, and he doesn't lobby very often to do more of a rectangular table because he thinks that we will be, well, he's right. We'll be able to sit more people here. I'm like, we have the formal dining room, but we do have a lot of kids that come over. So he may win out on that, I don't know. And then of course I am thinking like a built-in shelf on this end of the banquette, and maybe we've got a lot more to do in this breakfast nook makeover. It's going to probably be one of the next makeovers that we do. Maybe some molding. There's a lot of touch-up paint that I still need to do. There's some dings from putting it in, but the paint job was terrible to begin with, so I wasn't feeling too bad about that. I don't know if I'm going to trim it out, if I'm going to paint it out, what I've got going. I want to put in some cushions and put in a new light fixture, a new table. So that's all coming in the coming weeks. So a big thank you once again to Sundays for Dogs for sponsoring this episode. I'm so glad that I can have that to help make my little DIY dolly that much healthier. And don't forget to check them out. And if you are interested in ordering their dog food, make sure you use my 50% off code, which is all linked below. And if you enjoyed this episode, here's another one that I think you'll like as well. And to all of my DIY goddesses out there, you are more powerful than you know. We'll see you next time. In the meantime, it's kind of like a rainy day, and I've got this great bench to just sit and watch the rain. I have a feeling that this is going to be used a lot. Bye, everyone.